The table he never expected. He was laughing with his mistress over candlelight when the restaurant doors opened, and his whole world collapsed in a single second. The woman who walked in was glowing. Beautifully, impossibly glowing. 8 months pregnant, dressed in a tailored blazer, her hair falling perfectly around her face. And beside her, holding the door with quiet confidence, was Marcus Webb, CEO of Webb Capital, the most powerful investment firm in Chicago. That woman was his ex-wife. The one he had thrown away like she meant nothing. 2 years earlier, Daniel Reeves had everything a man could want, on paper. A good job in sales, a beautiful wife named Claire, and a modest apartment in Lincoln Park. Claire worked double shifts as a nurse, came home exhausted, still managed to cook dinner, still kissed him goodnight. She loved him without conditions, without performance, without keeping score. Daniel resented it. Not because she did anything wrong. But because somehow, her quiet devotion made him feel ordinary. And Daniel had always believed he deserved extraordinary. That's when Vanessa walked into his office. Vanessa was everything loud. Loud laugh, loud ambition, loud promises. She told Daniel he was too smart for where he was. She told him Claire was holding him back. She wore perfume that cost more than their grocery bill and spoke about Dubai like it was her backyard. Daniel believed every word. He started coming home late. Then not at all. When Claire cried and asked what was happening, he told her she was too emotional. When she found Vanessa's messages on his phone, he didn't even try to deny it. He looked Claire in the eye and said, "I haven't been happy in years." She didn't scream. She didn't throw things. She just nodded slowly, like she was absorbing the blow from the inside, and whispered, "Okay." 3 weeks later, she signed the divorce papers without a single phone call. Daniel felt relieved. He had no idea she was 8 weeks pregnant when she signed. Claire didn't tell him. Not out of cruelty, but because she knew, with a certainty that sat in her chest like a stone, that a man who walks away from love will walk away from anything. She would not give her child a father who had to be begged to show up. She moved to a smaller place in Wicker Park. Picked up extra nursing shifts. Cried alone in the bathtub after long nights so her unborn baby wouldn't feel the grief. She told exactly 2 people about the pregnancy, her sister, and her best friend Renee. Then something shifted. A hospital patient, recovering from surgery, had been watching Claire for 3 weeks. Watching how she spoke to scared patients. Watching how she memorized names, histories, the small details that made people feel seen. His name was Gerald Webb, Marcus Webb's father. When Gerald was discharged, he handed Claire a card. "My son needs a director of patient relations for his new healthcare division. I've seen a lot of people in this bed. You're different. Call him." Claire almost threw the card away. She called on a Tuesday, mostly because her rent was due Friday. Marcus Webb was not what she expected. No arrogance. No performance. He sat across from her in a simple navy shirt and asked her questions like he actually wanted the answers. When she mentioned she was a single mother, pregnant, 7 months along, he didn't flinch. "That tells me you know how to carry something hard and keep moving," he said. "That's exactly who I want in this role." She started the following Monday. Within 4 months, she had restructured his entire patient communication system. Within 6, she was running a team of 12. Marcus noticed everything, her precision, her warmth, her refusal to cut corners. He started finding reasons to be in the same meetings. Then the same hallway. Then the same coffee shop near the office. He fell slowly, then completely. He didn't rush her. He didn't push. He just showed up, consistently, gently, like someone who understood that a woman who had been broken once needed to be approached like something sacred. By the time Claire's daughter was born, a girl she named Lily, Marcus was in the waiting room with flowers and a car seat he had spent 2 hours researching. Claire cried when she saw him there. Not from sadness. From the shock of being chosen, fully, by someone who owed her nothing. They had been together 8 months when Daniel saw her walk through the doors of Maison Noire, Chicago's most exclusive reservation-only restaurant, the kind of place where Daniel had been trying to get a table for 2 years. He had finally gotten one, through Vanessa's connections. He was mid-laugh when the door opened. Claire didn't see him at first. She was leaning into Marcus, one hand resting on her beautiful round belly, her face bright with the kind of ease that only comes from real safety. Marcus had his hand on the small of her back like it was the most natural place in the world for it to be. The maitre d' greeted them by name. "Mr. Webb, your usual table is ready." His usual table. Daniel's throat closed. Vanessa was still talking. Something about Cancun, something about his bonus. He couldn't hear a single word. His eyes followed Claire across the restaurant like a man watching his past move without him. And then she saw him. The moment stretched. Claire held his gaze for exactly 3 seconds, not with anger, not with pain. Just a calm, clear recognition. Like seeing a road she used to drive on and realizing she no longer needed to go that way. She turned back to Marcus and smiled. That smile broke something open in Daniel that he didn't have a name for. He excused himself and found her in the corridor near the restrooms. Claire. She turned. Patient. Unbothered. A woman who had already healed the wound he thought was still bleeding. Daniel. You look. He couldn't finish. She looked radiant. She looked like freedom. Happy, she offered, without sarcasm. He swallowed. Who is he? Someone who chose me, she said simply. The words landed like a verdict. Claire, he stopped. Started again. I didn't know you were pregnant. Something passed through her eyes then. Not regret. Not guilt. A kind of quiet grief for who he used to be, buried under everything that came after. I know, she said. I made a choice too. She's mine. She is Lily's, Claire said softly. She belongs to whoever shows up for her. She glanced back toward the dining room, toward Marcus, who was watching the corridor with patient, unshakable calm. I have to get back, Claire said. She walked away without hurry. Daniel sat in his car for 40 minutes after dinner. Vanessa had eventually stopped talking and taken a cab home, irritated. He didn't notice. He kept seeing Claire's face at that table. The way Marcus placed his hand on her back. The way she laughed at something he said, full, unguarded, the kind of laugh Daniel had heard from her years ago before he slowly, carelessly, trained it out of her. He had called her ordinary. She had walked into the finest restaurant in Chicago on the arm of a man who looked at her like she rearranged gravity. 3 weeks later, he heard through a mutual friend that Claire had been promoted to Vice President of Patient Experience at Webb Capital's Healthcare Division. He heard that Marcus had proposed quietly, just the two of them and Lily, in the living room of a brownstone in Lincoln Square. He heard Claire said yes before he finished the sentence. Sometimes the most devastating thing life can do to you is show you, clearly, publicly, undeniably, exactly what you abandoned. Daniel didn't lose Claire to Marcus Webb. He lost her long before that, in a Lincoln Park apartment, when she cooked dinner for a man who was already mentally packing his bags. Marcus didn't take anything from Daniel. He simply recognized what Daniel was too blind to see. The lesson is not about regret. It's about this: the people who love you quietly, without drama, without ultimatums, those are the ones carrying the most. And when they finally put down what you gave them and walk away, they don't walk into emptiness. They walk into everything they were always meant to have. And you will see it one day. Probably across a restaurant. Probably when it's too late.